Hey everybody, I'm Tom LeBlanc. I'm the editor of Commercial Integrator. Today I'm lucky to be joined by Karl Johnson. He's the senior product manager at Christie. Hey Karl.
Good morning.
It's good to see you. All right, so Karl, we recently worked on a piece for Commercial Integrator on AV networking. And one of the things we kind of talked about in the piece was how there are a lot of acronyms out there, and we're trying to understand, what really drives integrators to adopt certain standards for their customers. I wanted to get your point of view on that. What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, well, in the area of AV over IP, right, Christie, we're a founding member in the SDVoE Alliance, which is software-defined video over Ethernet. And when we joined that group and became a leader in that group, there were key things in there that a lot of the foundational requirements of audiovisual systems were supported with the audio, the video, control, USB, that are common connectivity. And that really, we did that also in respects of the foundation of that platform for switching, distributing, and processing audiovisual signals had a foundation that we could build from and grow. So we're running from 10 gig Ethernet. Ethernet's a very cost-effective, scalable method for all the audiovisual systems to migrate to. And really, the SDVoE platform for Christie, there's lots of applications in audiovisual where you need a bit of processing and you want to have that foundation available. So, I talked about killer apps. You just kind of brought that up. A killer app is something that, you have an economic advantage. You're solving a problem that wasn't practical to solve before. And, one example is that, in SDVoE systems, you have frame buffering and some processing on transmitters and receivers. And one really simple example of, SDVoE having a very efficient design that's practical for switching applications is, we're not restricted to an even number of inputs and outputs. You can have a couple transmitters, a lot of receivers, or the inverse of that. We don't need fixed size 8x8, 16x16. And then beyond that, and that's a network advantage running from 10 gig Ethernet. Then beyond that is kind of what I'll call the SDVoE a killer app is monitoring. So if you have a switching system and you have to monitor your sources and where they're being delivered and that content is live and with quality, whether this is in a live presentation environment or you're at a theme park and, you're making money on rides and it's critical to monitor things, every SDVoE receiver can be operated as a multi-viewer, right? So now we can downscale our sources, assemble them on a multi-viewer, and all I've done is add one receiver to a solution. So instead of to do it a traditional method, I'd need twice as many outputs, perhaps, and I'd have to buy a multi-view receiver, a multi-view processor. And so I would have perhaps doubled the number of receivers and bought extra equipment. And so when you look at an SDVoE solution where you build in a multi-viewer onto a switching system, it's just one more receiver with processing built in. You could have half as many devices and half the cost in some cases. That's an example of a killer app that I would say would drive adoption for SDVoE in a lot of applications.